Hello everybody.
Hi.
Strongfit Podcast. Today is about the 50s.
Exactly.
Before we go into the 50s, we're going to talk about an interesting part of the programming. I posted on the Jen's Corner yesterday that the point of the conditioning, the point of the conditioning template is progress, obviously. But to get that progress, you really want to win the workout. So sometimes it's going to be a bit lighter, maybe a bit shorter distances if you have to, but win. Does that mean that in that case, like what if you don't do enough work, then we're going to add workout? Like Janina basically trains about 20 times a week. But that's not true. I'm not joking. Tell me that's not true.
I don't even count them.
Right, exactly. So it's around 20, right?
But like the way you're saying it sounds like you're sarcastic.
Like what? I'm calling you crazy? I've done that on the podcast so many times. Anyway, we'll do, after I finish, because today is the 50s, next week is the 5s. After that, we'll do a recap of all three on how I like to program them, percentage and everything. But before we go into that and talking about the conditioning template, I want to talk about a workout Janina did today. So she did the workout, which is one clean and jerk from 1 to 10. And in between each round, you do a round of Cindy, 5 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, 15 squats. So it looks so easy on paper. So, you know, 1 clean and jerk, 5, 10, 15, 2 clean and jerk, 5, 10, 15, and you're back like that up to 10. So, you know, Chris Peller did it with 60 kilos in under 15 minutes. Everybody thinks it's a 12-minute, 13-minute workout. Right, most people will do it in over 25.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Right, she didn't know that, so that's awesome. So she didn't know that, and she goes into it blasting.
But it was also like I added the extra pressure because I did it like at the end of the open gym before the class started. So I had like 15-minute time kept to do it.
It's going to be epic.
So I was like, it's just the end of the workout.
Plus it's easy, right? It's an easy one. Yeah.
I can do Cindy, I can do clean and jerk, that's fine.
Exactly. What happens if you mix the two of them? Nothing.
You get death.
Yeah, so you do the workout and you just go at it.
I sprinted the first 3 rounds, but like just...
Yeah, full blown sprint, right?
Yeah. Then I'm like, that's kind of hard, let me just pace it a little bit. So I do round 4, round 5, and I'm like, out of the sudden, I'm breathing hard, and I'm like, I'm not supposed to breathe hard.
No, you are supposed to. Yeah.
And I was like, what's wrong? Like I was just questioning myself.
Exactly.
So I do round 7, round 6, round 7. And round 7, I'm at the clean and jerks and I just.
Your triceps gave up, right?
I don't know what gave up.
Everything.
I don't know
You
what
gave up, yeah, exactly.
It was to the point where there's not one thing that you say like, it's not my legs, it was not my arms, it was just like the overall
the
thing.
whole body
was just horrible.
went down. Yeah. So you did 8?
I did 8, and at 8 I was like,
fuck it.
I can't do this anymore. The class is starting, people are watching, like, are you still doing this? And I was like,
plus like you're just done.
I was so done.
Right. So that brings a very interesting point. You have to understand that this is technically the point of OG CrossFit. The way Greg Glassman explained it is you're never supposed to finish a workout. You go at it so hard that you get a heart attack 2 reps before the end.
Well, that's what I figured when I did the round 7. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to keep this for another round, and then I stop.
Right.
I didn't want to slow down and compromise.
Right. And then she spent the next 10 minutes on the floor, breathing hard and everything. So how was that experience?
I just thought you were evil. That's what I was thinking.
So this workout, that's how I approach any workout. That's what I want out of a workout. I want to fail. I want to get to round 8, finish it, and spend the next 10 minutes on the ground dying. That's what makes me happy. That's a masculine side on the template. That is not... So do I want her to go there once in a while? Yes. But we're going to train that very carefully because she needs to learn to do that. Just go into workouts and crush and everything. What she likes is to win and cut corners if she has to, let's be honest. If you're not cheating, you're not trying hard enough. You know what I mean?
That's really the mentality, yeah.
It is a mentality. She's all about winning. That was not winning, that was failing after round 8. I am very happy she went hard enough to get to that stage. I cannot have her do that too often.
Right.
How do you feel right now? Because right now, like you're walking around like, Ma, I don't want to go to school.
No, but it was also because when I did it, I accepted right away, like, okay, this was a this was this type of workout. So I went for like a running workout, like a long one where I did like a 4K.
To calm yourself down, yeah.
Yeah, to calm myself down.
She did a 4K to calm herself down. Like this, the idea stresses me out so much, you have no idea. But anyway, yeah.
Then I did like a lunges thruster imam, like just to...
That one is mom, yeah.
Yeah, but just to...
That one is mean.
That one is mean, but it was fun. And then I went home and like now I'm here.
But when she got home, she's working like this,
It
like
just hurts,
she's gonna
but-
complain all day.
No, but it's also like
Yes.
when I stop, if I would just go home after that workout, it would have felt worse than doing the 2 workouts after.
Right, because she had to win after that, because that was too much of a
yeah,
loss.
so now I'm going back in the gym after just to do like a long like maybe something I like something with like push-ups or deadlifts or something fun, a bit longer, and then
I don't think you're crazy, but they all do. I got to tell you, everybody's watching this going like, oh my God. But you know what's great is you make me look good, because they're all like, he's a good man. If he can take that on a daily basis, he's a good man. You all thought I was like, the guy with a younger wife. Like, you understand what happens now to my life. But anyway.
Yeah, but then I forget about it too, because I don't want to attach too much emotion out of failing that workout. That's why I'm going to go back.
Exactly, right.
Because
So if you
I'm
look,
going to do enough stuff that I forget that.
right. So she had that workout where she lost, had 2 workouts after that winning, and he's going to need 3 or 4 more to let go of it. And you're going to see that's what we're going to see on the feminine side, is out of those failures, you're going to need 3-4 workouts to come back from it. That's totally okay. This is how I want you to go at it. I want most of your workouts to be winning, which means maybe a bit lighter, but you're going to win them. And 1 out of 6, 1 out of 10 is going to be that.
Yeah, and I think it's also, for me, what's the most, like if I would have gone into the workout knowing what the workout was going to be, it would have been easier. But I thought it was a sprint workout, so I went at it with a sprint. Like
That's okay.
No,
That's
but
okay.
I mean, so I couldn't risk manage it, which was good at the end. But now I need something. I need to.
If you're a volume person, if you're an imam person, let's forget masculine, feminine, so we don't piss people off. And then YouTube will take my video down anyway. If you are a volume imam person, then understand that the hard workouts, when you get close to where you're basically going into failure, should be 10% of the total of your workout maximum. You know who was doing that? Rich Froning. Rich Froning was saying he had 2 hard workouts a week out of 20 to 24. He was spending only 10% of his workout really hard, and the rest he was winning. Now, his winning is everybody else is losing. That's another problem.
That's another problem, yeah.
But to him, he wasn't, and that's the important part. Where me, I'm the opposite way. I need 90% of my workout to be like that.
Yeah, and
I don't like who I am when I train the way she does. Doesn't matter. This is a mistake that I make as a coach because I bring my own bias, even though I tell everybody not to do that. You know, the dark cave in Dagobah, what will you find in there? Whatever you bring with you. I have to be very, very careful not to bring my fail mindset into her winning mindset, because that's why I program, but I don't coach her too much, because when I'm there, I always want her to put more weight. I want her to get closer to that point. This has to be 10% of her workouts only.
Yeah.
It's very important. It's very, very, very important.
You watch my workout maybe like twice a week, max?
I don't want to watch it more than, because I know what will happen and that will be a mistake. It's just I don't understand this way of training. So what? So what? Just because I don't train like that doesn't mean you shouldn't be trained like that. It's just, but there's my mistake as a coach sometimes I made, because I went to coach her on the bench press and farmer's walk, and right away I was adding more weight to the stuff and making her go longer, and because I was like, well, that's what the workout is. No, it isn't. Anyway, I thought it was a very important point to make, because she makes, you know what the point of the conditioning template is? Progress. And she's making progress winning. So that's what we're going to keep going at.
And what I think if you end up there, the answer for me is never to rest, to sit down and go to bed or to
win
rest.
more.
It's just get out of it, like move on, like the next workout is already there.
But win the next 3, 4, 5 workouts.
Yeah, because there's no point in keeping that fail. That's why, like, move on. Like it's past. You've done it. The work is done. It's in there. So
get to the next one.
Get to the next one.
Make sure you win. That's all.
Yeah, don't attach way too much emotion to it. It's just it's done. Anyway, 50s.
There we go. 50s. So a very, very important part, the 50s. So if you look, in a sessions, you're going to go hundreds into 50s, 50s into hundreds, or 50s into five, fives into 50s. Very rarely are you going to do hundreds and fives. They just don't go together. The 50s are the cornerstone of the whole thing. This is where you make the most progress. Even for powerlifting, a lot of them would tell you now that they spend too much time doing singles or doubles, and they should have done higher reps more often. If you PR on the max weight for 6 reps, it's a PR that is just as valuable as a single. Honestly, more valuable because you'll pay a lesser price for it. The great Paul Anderson said that the best workout he had to get out of a plateau is 3 sets of 10. It's that. I mean, it's that. So we can use the 50s. So what do I call in the 50s? Because it's 5, 6 sets, 4 to 6 sets of 8 to 12 reps. So that's your basic low hypertrophy. It's a bit of a low rep for hypertrophy, but it kind of belongs there, right? Most of hypertrophy is a little bit more higher, but you get the idea, right? We call it 50 because you're going to do 50 reps on that exercise. Going back to the performance box, we have skill, tension in the right places, that's the 100, and we get the muscle capacity. That's what the 50s are for, muscle capacity. So muscle capacity, you have muscle quantity and muscle quality. And those are the two things we're going to go after. If we're a little bit on the higher reps, 10, 12, getting closer to 15, we'll go more toward hypertrophy. If we go lower, 8, 6, for more sets, we're going to go toward muscle quality, where we learn to get that murderous intent going. Because murderous intent is the 5s, but you need to learn to use that, right? The muscles have to be able to transfer that nervous impulse. And that's what the muscle capacity is for. And that's the goal of the 50s. So you're going to look at it as also your conditioning workouts, and that's where the carries come in, all that stuff. So
it
to
is
me,
volume, but it is not.
It is volume, but it's heavy.
Yeah.
It's heavy. If you look at the
intensity,
50s,
right?
It's intensity, exactly. It's where the intensity lives. And if you look at most of my workouts where I was doing the best with the carries are the 50s. Because how many steps do you take, right? It's 50 meters, it's like 100 feet or stuff like that. That's where the 50s live. That heavy, volume-ish type of thing, where you just blast yourself, where intensity is, where is most of the CrossFit workouts.
Right.
The 50s are the cornerstone of a template. And they are your building blocks that will either lead you to hypertrophy more, and then we go toward the 100s, or toward neural output, which is the 5. So if you look at the performance box, the 100s are pure muscle going into muscle quantity, going into muscle quality, that goes into neural output. So your building blocks are the 50s. That is a very, very important part of your work, and where you should spend, honestly, most of your time. Whether it's powerlifting, strongman, or even CrossFit, this is where you should spend most of your time.
Because here you don't really go into failure too much, right?
No, you're not going to go into failure much, but it's not too heavy that you're going to blast your nervous system and go, for example, for you, like go into the failure, which is crash completely, because, form breaks down, all that stuff. And at the same time,
so it's still really quality work.
It's quality work, which is the very important part, is the quality intensity work. That's what we're looking for. Because when you start to go heavier than that, form breaks down. Form breaks down, that means the tension is not being put in the right places. The skill breaks down.
Yeah.
Technique and skill, not exactly the same thing, start to break down. So, which is necessary at some point. You have to put weight on your back, you have to put more weight, and you have to learn to deal with adversity, which is when you're at 95%, you're trying to get a double, or like 92, 93% trying to get a triple. That third rep is going to be horrible. Form is going to go down, tension is going to go into all places. You have to learn to do that as well, because that's what happens when you lift heavy. But you can't do that too often. Risk of injury are very high. Right. It grinds your joint. It makes you fail. It destroys your nervous system. How long can you last doing that shit anyway?
How often can you do that?
How often can you do that? You don't get much progress out of it. You don't build up much muscle out of it. And every time there's a near fail, the chance of injury goes through the roof, and you just don't make that much progress out of it. Olympic weightlifting being a bit different, but those are
But that's also
different
because
animals.
it's a really high skill movement, right?
Right, plus those are different animals. The only people that can do it like that are the only people that can do Olympic weightlifting, and most of you cannot at that level. And if you look, for example, on the feminine side, the best Olympic weightlifters, women, come from CrossFit. If you look in the US, the snatch has gone up ridiculously in the last 10 years because of CrossFit. Like a lot of them come from that background. Like there is no doubt that, and by the way, that's how the Chinese work. Even if we talk pure Olympic weightlifting, the Chinese weightlifting program for men is 70% assistance work, 30% of the lifting itself.
That's crazy.
And assistance work, they go from 20 all the way down to 10, depending on what you need to work on.
That's crazy.
The Chinese are already doing it. Like I'm just, putting it into shapes and stuff like that and trying to program based on that. But this is being done already. It's just like I'm a one-man army, whereas they have like an entire program. So, with different coaches and everything. So, and I try to put everything in concepts and so that they can be, so people can make methods out of that. But it's been used. The same ideas are being used. There's no question. If you look at old school powerlifting, for example, the German method is 10 sets of 10. But if you look at old school powerlifting, there was a lot of 8 to 10 reps. Bill Kazmaier would start these cycles of bench press with 20s, with 15s, and work all the way to singles. But a bulk of the work will be done in the 50s, which I find very interesting because if you look, it's the Pareto distribution, the 80-20, that curve. If you look at the hundreds, they're here, the 50s are there, the 5s are there. Everything always follows the Pareto distribution. If you watch podcast, you know what I'm talking about. So that's what you're going to see with the 50. They're the bulk, they're your center. That's the center you're trying to move, either toward endurance or toward strength, but that's the center you're trying to move. So as a CrossFitter, are you trying to get stronger? Are you trying to get endurance? We're going to move you one way or another, but the bulk of the work is going to be toward the 50s. That's why I like to program conditioning too. So one of my favorite workout, for example, for shoulder strength is 15 push press on the minute, next minute 15 kettlebell swings. I'm going to take it to 20 minutes, so it's actually going to be a shit ton of reps. You would think it's 100s, but it's between the 50s and the 100s because on the minute it's only 15 reps.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question is like, so that those EMOMs that you program, like for example the kettlebell swings, they belong in the 50s? Because they're quite intense
exactly. They're very intense.
They go more towards hundreds, right?
Right, it depends. Most of the time that workout will be programmed in a 10 to 12 rep range.
Right.
I push to 15 for you because I'm pushing a bit toward the hundreds. But on the minute, it's going to be 10 to 12. That's why it belongs in the 50s. Even though you're going to do more reps, the 50 reps is because usually I do 4 or 5 sets of 10. 50s is an idea. Yeah, what I'm looking at is how many reps per set. If I'm between the 8 to 12-ish, I'm in the 50s. If I'm toward the 20 rep per set, I'm more toward the hundreds. Yeah. 15 to 20 is the hundreds. So when we do bodybuilding, we're in the 15 to 20 when we do skill work, right? But if I want to go a little bit heavier, find my, get to a hypertrophy, I will go 10, 12. If I want muscle quality, like engaging my upper pec, I'll go 8, 10. I might do more than 50 reps, but the point will be I'll be in the 8 rep range if I'm looking for muscle quality, 12 if I'm looking for muscle quantity, 12 to 15, and I go toward the 20, that's more skill. And then if I go under 6, I'm more toward neural output, regardless of how many sets I do. So when you see that workout, the push press and the kettlebell swings, if you see it on my template, you'll see 8 to 10 reps because it's heavier and everything, and then you're going to do shorter time because it's heavier. But whereas I'm going to push toward the 12s, which is a higher muscle quantity type of thing, which is why everything is going so well, because I need you to put the right muscle in the right places. Sometimes I'll take you toward 25 reps and stuff like that, but then it's just to push the conditioning on the heart rate, because you need those as well. Mm-hmm. So that's really what the 50s are. It's like how many reps per set. Because usually if you look outside of CrossFit workout, a typical thing is usually, like 5 sets. If you look at bodybuilders, 5 sets of X, right? If you look at one of the best strength training, Bill Starr, 5x5, you're usually around 5 sets, because by the 4 sets, you're getting tired, your mind is starting to shut your body down, and the fifth set is where you have to punch it. If you start to go past that, you're going into pure endurance towards something else. To build the body, you'll see mostly that.
And those EMOMs that are around 12 minutes with like a 1 rep, is that, or like 2 reps?
That's actually...
That's more towards the 5s? Or
yes, we toward the 5s, yeah.
Okay.
Which right, so now we're going to go into like, again, the bulk of it, the bulk of the programming is that, right? So, we still have time.
Because I find it so fascinating that doesn't feel like 5s to me at all.
Right, because
one of my favorites.
Right, but that's because you're doing 2 reps or even 3. You never go close to failure. Like you do. So right now you're doing the 12-minute EMOM, so 2 reps on the minute at 100 kilos. If I'm asking you to do 1 set right now of a 100 kilo squat, you're doing at least 5 reps.
Yeah.
Right? 5, 6, you think?
Yeah.
5, right?
Yeah.
5 or 6, right?
Yeah.
So doubles are nothing.
Yeah.
Right. At the end, you're going to do 24 reps in 12 minutes, so it's a shit ton. So I much rather ask you, instead of doing a 5 by 5, I'm going to make you do 12 times 2. At the end, I get the same number of reps. Mm-hmm. But I keep the time very short, and I never let you get close to a fail. So I'm not taxing the nervous system the way I would do it on a 5 by 5, in the fact that you would have to fight the last 2, but I still get the reps, I still get the weight, and I'm approaching it in a way that will not crash you.
Right. But so it's a 5 training, but it's a 50 mentality basically, or no?
Right. Yeah, if you want. You're in the 5s. I'm just programming in a smart way so it doesn't crash you, but it's still a 5. Okay. You need to have 5s. Yeah. No. So it's not the 50s. That's a 5, but it's a 5 down for the feminine side or whatever you.
But we're gonna go into that maybe more next week.
Oh, no, next week we'll go into the 5s. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
But those workouts are very important because, so again, Pareto distribution, right? We need to have the 100s, we need to have the 50s, we need to have the 5s. The question becomes, all right, so how much of that? Yeah. We'll do a recap at the end anyway. But the bulk is going to be the 50s. Yeah. For either masculine or feminine, that's the thing, is we're going to be mostly into the bulk. You're going to see more 5s on the masculine, more 100s on the feminine, most likely, because they respond to volume better, versus masculine that responds to intensity in the sense of higher weights, not how hard you push, but there's 2 forms of intensity, how hard you push, and also the percentage on the bar. Right. In strength and conditioning, that's what they call intensity. Anyway, so me, I'm going to go more toward the 5s, you're going to go more toward the 100s, but the bulk of the work is in the 50s. So the 100s will be done for a certain type of conditioning or as an assistance work or as a recovery. The 50s is going to be intensity and volume and a certain amount of weight. The 5s are to get you stronger. There are different ways to program the 5s, just like there are different ways to program the 50s. So for example, how to program the 50s. For me, I love carries. Carries belong in the 50s. I can push as hard as I want on the carries and great result out of that. That's your typical 50. So you'll see me doing EMOMs or sets or whatever, but I'll do like row pulls and then, farmer's carry and then the yoke carry. I make so much progress out of that because I can push so hard.
So how many times do you think you do 50s a week?
Right. So if I look, I probably do 2 sessions of 100s. I do 1 session of 5s. And the rest is, so 1 to 3, I think. 1 5s, 2 100s, 3 50s. Yeah. A good Pareto distribution would be 1 to 4, 1 to 5. But you have to understand that I put some 5 with the 50s or some 50s with the 100s most of the time. So at the end, if you look at how much really 50s per week versus how many 5s, how many 100s, you'll see 300s, you'll see 3 5s, and then you'll see 8 to 10 50s, because I train about 6 times a week, 6 to 8 times a week. So yeah, about that. We'll talk about it some more, but that's the hundreds will depend. Like if I feel good, I'll go toward the 50s a bit more. Yeah. To have the muscle quality I need, or maybe if I feel a bit beat up, I'll stay with the 10 rep range. But like my upper pec, stuff like that, I have a tendency to go into the low 50s. Right. Because it connects better and that helps me with the press. So again, I have certain exercises that I choose based on the stuff. Right. So let me go into that. So I'll use myself as an example. As we were saying, the 5s form breaks down, you greater chance of injury, all that stuff. So that means that personally, I use the static exercises in the 50s. Why? Because that's where I'm not good at. So you'll see me do the 5s on, if I do on static exercises, it's actually on very specific ones.
How interesting. So you don't do them as a skill in the 100s, you do them in the 50s under intensity. The stuff
Yeah, under intensity, but I don't do them as 5s. So I don't do squats as 5s. I do pause squats as 5s, because then the added layer of complication allows me to not load as much, but get better results out of it. I do block pulls or out of the 5s. I do especially more like deficit stiff leg is in the 5s. Stuff like that. I mean, and then the bench, the squat, the deadlift, I put in the 50s, because I get less breakdown out of those in the 50s. I can keep the form going the way I want. I don't cheat. I don't shift. I don't do any of that. I want to make sure when I work on the for example bench, squat, deadlift, that my form is correct, that I lower the stress on my joints. It works much better overall. On the 5s, I just blast myself. So it's yoke carries, it's deficit stiff leg, it's all that stuff, which we'll talk about next week. For the 50s, it's going to be my static exercises. It's going to be the log most likely. The dumbbell, I can go either way. I can go 50s or 5s. I like to go very heavy on the dumbbell. But if I were to do one arm press in the 50s is better. 100s if I suck at it, like I did the other time, but usually I'll put it in the 50s, the low 50s. Depending on the exercise, I'm going to choose, but most of my exercise that you see me do in competition or stuff like that, I'm going to put in the 50s, because I can push the intensity, but it's not too heavy that I don't continuously look to do it better, right? Once you're in the 5s, you go full exploitation, you just lift. Your technique has to be set by then, because I don't want you to think, I want you to lift. So we're going to choose the exercises for that, like a good conjugate system. When I'm in the 50s is where I can pay attention to the form. I'm still going to blast because it's intensity, but I'm going to pay attention to the form. And that's why I like to put my major lifts in there, the ones that are a little bit higher on the weight scale, higher on the skill level. I'll put it in the 50s. That way I can blast them, but still pay attention. And because it's not too heavy, form doesn't break down. I have better control, and then I crash less.
Yeah, so what is your mindset going into a 50 workout, and how do you leave the workout?
Right, so my mindset is the 100 is a 1 on the emotional level, which means I'm just there to move the weight and squeeze the muscle. I don't care. I get a pump, awesome. I don't care, I did the work. The 50s is that in between. When I get to the 5s, I'm very serious. The 50s is I'm there to do work and to not enjoy myself, but this is going to be good, solid work where I'm not fucking shit up yet, but this is going to make me stronger.
When I hear Julian in the gym doing 50s, I heard like, boof, most of the time sandbag drop, and then fuck, that hurts.
Yes, because that's my sets of 10s, or like with a heavy sandbag, like the 50s hurt everywhere. But this is where, like, in my mind, I'm like, all right, so take the pain,
head down, work.
Take the pain, put the work in, correct work, always, right? Always correct work. Even in the 100s when I don't pay attention, still do correct work. But the 50s is where the intensity comes in. Because now I'm like, all right, so to me, I go with a mindset of I'm building the pyramid. Like this is my base of strength. It's not my base overall, but this is my base of strength. This is where I build my structure. So this is structural work. Structural work is gonna hurt. So it's the heavy carries, it's the farmers, not too heavy, but like, the back and forth with the farmers, the rope pulls, the squat, the bench. Like I'm putting weight on my back, I'm putting weight everywhere, I'm building my structure. This is where I'm gonna get thicker. This is where the soft tissue is gonna get stronger. This is where I'm gonna beat the living shit out of myself. Is there. So because I'm beating the shit out of myself with such intensity, the form has to be there. So I'm in between exploitation and exploration. And then can I do it better? Like, ooh, let me try this, let me try that. Because it's light enough that I can do it, but I gotta have enough exploitation because weight is heavy, so you don't get to fuck around either.
Don't fuck around. And how do you leave a session like that? Is it like
wasted? Those are the ones where I'm
satisfied,
like,
or is it?
Those are the ones where those are the ones I take it to failure. I never take the 5 to failure ever. Because that's dangerous. But the 50s is my failure stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't fail on the 100s, I don't fail on the 5s, I fail on the 50s. So whenever I do my 50s, I do an imam if I do 10 minutes, I want somewhere in the middle that I have to take an extra minute rest, that I can't do that round because I'm just too blasted.
Yeah.
Or if I say I'm going to do up to 10, I quit at 8 or stuff like that. That's my 50s. This is where I blast the living shit out of myself. And I like the failure because I'm like, good, and now if I get better at that exercise, I'm stronger.
Yeah.
So it's a line that I'm shooting for.
Right.
That makes me happy.
And how does it set you up for the rest of the day after that one?
Oh, I'm fine. I'm just blasted. I get my Strongfit lemonade. I'll explain. I'm fine. I like feeling in those workouts.
Yeah.
I'm like, I did good work today. Then I can,
Yeah.
I just.
So it gives you like a satisfaction, like I put
Oh,
my
yeah.
head down
I'm very
and work.
satisfied. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and usually I'm like, I like when I walk around and I feel either not pumped, but like there's a deep feeling into my structure going like, my soft tissue got.
Like this?
Yeah, my soft tissue got work and I'm like, oh, in a good way, obviously.
Yeah.
That like, oh, I'm getting thicker just doing that exercise. That's what I
good
like.
work, yeah.
It's just good, solid work.
Yeah.
And I just, blasted myself with the stuff. So depending on the phase that I'm in, I'd either go more toward conditioning or heavier 50s. Heavier 50s means I'm in that phase where I'm trying to get stronger. If I'm more conditioning, that means I'm on the other side where I'm more toward connecting correctly and more toward the hundreds, the skill and stuff like that. So I'm, depending on where I'm at, I know if I'm just trying to build muscle or if I'm just trying to get stronger. It's a completely different mindset, but both are still built in the 50s, and then that's where failure takes place.
So right now you train
towards strength.
Towards strength?
Right now, yeah. Right now, I did my test week last week, so I got my 400-pound pause squat like I wanted to have. It felt. The pause wasn't as long as it should have been, but it felt light on my back. I was like, all right, my structure didn't hurt my shoulder, didn't hurt my back, nothing. I was like, all right, coming back. I had my 140 kilos, so I had 315 bench press, which was fairly easy, and then I didn't have wrist wraps, I just banged it. So I was like, all right. Technique wasn't there, but that's because I haven't benched in forever. My deadlift is over 5 without a belt, so okay. I'm like, all right. Everything is where it should be. So now I'm working the 5s and 6s. Like that's what I did today. So today I did my deadlift rows to 130 kilos for 5, so 300 pounds for 5. Then I went into deadlift that I took to 200 kilo for 5s, for 2 sets. Yeah. Then I went into block pulls. So then I went higher. What is that, 210 or 220? Whatever, 4 sets of 5 off the blocks. But I didn't have a belt, so I was like, all right, those are good numbers. Fairly easy. Then I did more like 50s work after that. So those were more they were high 5s, so they kind of in the 5s as a mindset. But then I went into my 50s. Right. Then I did blasted my lats. It depends. Often. I usually I'll do one exercise in the 5s and then like 2 or 3 in the 50s. That's usually my main session is like that. Like when I did the pause squats, I did that, and then I went blasting myself on the leg press and then the sandbag squats and lunges and stuff like that. I like that better. Today, I wanted to murder my back. So I was like, I'll do back to back to back to back stuff. So normally my deadlift rows is in the 50s. So I kind of consider that a low 50s, but then I went into deadlift, which is a low 50s as well, into block pull. So I guess today is in the 50s. Yeah. So I went low 50s to high 50s today. Right. But it was a 50, so that tells me I'm there. I'm in that heavy 50s workout, low 50s stuff. Yeah. This is where I get stronger, right there. Yeah. I'll keep going that until my body starts to go no, and then I'll go toward the high 50s, which will be more toward hypertrophy. I'll put more hundreds. That's where I'll more conditioning. That will be not like an off-season phase, but like kind of. Yeah. Not a recovery phase, but an off-season phase where I'm like, all right, so now I need to go higher reps. I need to go, instead of 5s and 6, which is very low 50s, I'm going to go like 8, 10, 12, more carries, more rope pulls, more pump, harder conditioning. And last time I did it for at least 3 months, but it set me up for this, where I can put more weight on my back. Like tomorrow or Wednesday, I'll do the yoke carry. And I'll try to see if I can make it to a 750. Yeah. Most likely I can. On that yoke, I don't know, because it's kind of a fucked up yoke. So
it's a bit of a yoke with its own character.
If he was in the one we have in Holland, I bet you I can go 750 right now. I'll go toward over 700 for sure.
Yeah.
I can feel it. It's there. Like I'm starting to get stronger again. So that's what I'm milking at the moment. And then I'm going to feel naturally the shift, and then it'll be higher reps. I know because like I don't want to do conditioning right now. So it's hard workouts, but I don't feel like doing conditioning right now. Whenever I feel like doing conditioning, I'm in the higher 50s.
Right.
I just know where I'm at. And whenever, so that's going to be a short period of time, I'm guessing. If I have 3-4 more weeks of that, I'll be surprised, honestly, because I'm already week 3. So my guess is I have 3 more weeks of that. 6 weeks sounds like a long time. And then I'll have 3-4 months I'll have easily 12 weeks of high 50s.
So how do you know which state you are in? Because I will say, no idea where I'm at necessarily.
So I know if I want to do conditioning or not.
Yeah. Is it feeling?
Yes, I know if like when you
I
go.
don't have any feelings.
Exactly, that's the problem. You're a Borg, so. Which exactly.
I don't know.
If I go into the gym and I'm like, what do I want to murder? Right now, I don't have that feel for the conditioning.
Right.
Like that EMOM, like push press, kettlebell swing. I don't especially want to do it. Like it sounds interesting, but it doesn't sound like ooh. Like it's not touching my soul right now. Type of training. If I do rope pulls and farmer's carry and yoke carry. Right now, I'm like, right now what I want is I want a heavy yoke carry for like 30 meters or maybe even 15. I want to put weight on my structure. And I can feel it. When I'm done with that, I'll know because I'll want to do like longer rope pulls, longer yoke carries, longer farmers, longer sets, like 10 reps and stuff. Yeah. I'll know.
And how do you know the difference between, I'm asking that for me and maybe for other people out there, just laziness and not feeling something? Because sometimes I can, even though I'm in a conditioning mood, I can still think like, I don't necessarily want to run 8 times 400 meter right now or whatever. I'm saying something. Is it then? Right,
you have to, but that's knowing yourself. You have to know which one is which.
Right.
Like I know I don't want to do conditioning right now. I'm still doing some, but I'll just, I can tell the reason I don't want to do conditioning is because, it's not because I don't want to do conditioning. Yeah. It's because I want to put weight on my structure. Right. So I would do it, but then I feel like, I want heavier. It's like that deep desire to go heavier. If I have deep desire to do something, I do that.
Right.
If I don't have a deep desire to do something else, but I'm like, I don't want to do conditioning, that's laziness.
Right.
So in that case, it's different. I just have a deep desire to murder myself with weight right now. And so like it's going to be heavy carries. It's going to be like, that's why I did 145 kilos. See, that's what started the whole thing. For example, is the 145 kilo per hand on the farmer's walk. So like that, like 315, 320 per hand. That's heavy. Even for me, even at my best, that's heavy. And I killed it. And I was like, yeah, that's what I want.
Yeah.
And then that started the cycle.
Right.
It's just, I know by experience that I have 4 to 6 weeks. So I don't know whenever I did it, but it has to be at least 2 weeks ago now. So I'm on week 3 probably. So my guess.
Wasn't that before Holland?
I don't. Maybe I don't. I
anyway,
know. Yeah, matter. I know. I have. But because of the breaks, I know I have about 2-3 weeks of this before my body is like, all right, stop.
Yeah.
And then things will start aching.
I get what you're saying.
Although, like, I'm doing a very good job with the hundreds. Like, I started feeling my shoulder. We had a very good session of hundreds at the gym. Shoulder is great. So when it's like that, it's usually low 50s and hundreds. That's the only 2 training I do, really.
Right.
When I'm like that. The other one, when I'm more like high 50s, I feel I do a little bit of size, but I do more high 50s, more conditioning. The hundreds are actually a little bit heavier. Like it's a completely different mindset.
I get what you're saying.
It's completely different feel.
Yeah, I get it.
Like right now, it's either low 5s, low 50s, or hundreds, and light hundreds. Like just pure skill, reconnecting everything. Right. So that's why I know I'm in that structure phase. The other phase is more specialization in a way. It's like, all right, let's bring the conditioning, let's just build the muscle again.
Right.
It's a different part of the structure that is being built.
Right.
It's that stabilization, like, S pyramid is structure, specialization. I'm usually structure, like right now I'm structure. Then I'm going to build stabilization, which with more muscle and stuff like that in the conditioning aspect. And from there, if I were to specialize, I have let's say a strongman competition, I would go into a phase of 6 weeks of just doing the events.
Right.
Just that. So this would be followed by like conditioning, right? And followed by just doing the events and do a lot of conditioning toward the events and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's how I would do it if I were preparing for a competition, which
competition.
by next year I'll probably do again.
It'll be fun, right?
Strongman? Yeah, strongman always. Strongman I have no problem. I just need stones and stuff like that, but I'd be interested.
They have stones at a new gym we are going
cool.
to.
The problem that I made, not the weights I need, honey.
No, that's true.
They don't have 150 kilo stones.
That's true.
What I didn't do in the past where I messed up in my strongman career is I was not preparing events for a competition. I was watching the Martin Lissis, my friend who was world's strongest man, 2019 I think. And like he prepares for events like no one else. And he's good everywhere. He never fails at one. But all he does like for like 7 weeks now is just doing events for the world's strongest man.
Whoa.
Nothing else and super precise. You have to do that. I've always sucked at this and this is what costs me the most. I never prepare for competition. I just train and I just show up. Sometimes I win, sometimes I do very badly. Right. Because I don't prepare. And that's something I need to correct. So whenever I go back to competition, I will prepare for the events.
Right.
Still not juicing, so there we go. Yeah, I'd be curious to see if I can do that at, late 40s without even TRTs. That'd be funny. Because I'm not competing in the Masters. I'm going with a 20-year-old. I don't give a shit. I'm strong enough to do it, so I don't care. I'm going with the open class. 105 kilos, obviously, but I'm going with the youngsters.
Yeah,
I literally
cool.
will facing guys half my age. It's going to be awesome.
That's going to be awesome. You're used to that.
With
Facing
you?
people
Yeah, exactly.
your age.
Yeah, whatever. But it'll be fun, especially with that TRT, because that's...
Right. It's a statement too.
Fun. Yep.
But is there anything else we need to talk about the 50s?
Yes, please. We are getting pummeled by the YouTube algorithm right now. I will take the blame for that because I did make videos about ivermectin and shit like that, which I probably shouldn't even say out loud. Would you please like and comment in the section?
Have like in Harry Potter, they say Voldemort had to have a different name for it.
Yeah, exactly.
So we should have a name for it.
He who shall not be named.
He shall not
please
be
like and comment, because if you don't like, honestly, like we're getting pummeled, like I got to 16,000 subscribers and just completely stopped. I know why. It's because of stuff like that. So if you don't like and comment, the video is not being shared and pretty much shadow banned, which means unless you're looking specifically to watch the podcast, you won't see it. So this is how YouTube works. Honestly, we are pretty much shadow banned right now. Like it's crazy. Like there's some episodes you can't find. Like it's YouTube, whatever. So anyway, please like and comment just so we can get some traction on the YouTube channel. We do the podcast, but it's nice when we, at least for me, that when I see interaction, when I see that it's being watched, because it's always, it's a lot of work for us to do, and it's nice when it feels like we're making a difference. So please like, subscribe, the whole stuff.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching.
Yeah, thank you everybody.
Ciao.
Bye.